She was raped and killed and then buried in a shallow grave not far from her home in Agard. Giselle Georges, whose only crime apparently was taking pride in herself. She too was raped and left lifeless at her home with the words "for your style" inscribed across her tummy. And who can forget Mary Ratcliffe, the mother of 4, whose youngest was not even a teenager, who had found her lover raping, molesting, violating, ravishing her daughter. He had promised to kill her had she told a soul. Poor Mary, not threatened by this mere mortal, sought vindication for her daughter, sought justice for her daughter, as any good mother should. As soon as her boyfriend had left, she too left with her oldest son and made the trek to the police station, where she made a report. And no sooner had she returned home than her lover, Shaka, remember him, came home and made good on that promise that he had made her not too long ago, and decapitated her right before the eyes of 2 of her children. And the one closest home to me, Valinda Joseph. Her case is being heard. Valinda left her home in December, just after 7 o'clock, to get her uniform, her school uniform, adjusted by a seamstress not too far from her home. That was the last time her family saw her alive. Some monster had raped her, broken her neck, poured a chemical down her throat, and tossed her like so much garbage. Again, not too far from her home, someone from the neighborhood, we think. We don't know. This happened 12 years ago. I can't help but wonder, what would Valinda have been like today? She would have been about 23 years old. And I wonder, what would her life have been like had it not been cut short? Would she have been married? Would she have been expecting her first child? Would she have been a student at college or university? What kind of person would she have been? We will never know. Just as we will never know what Cheryl Hunt would have been like had she not been raped and brutalized and tossed like so much garbage on a garbage heap nonetheless. St. Lucia, this is just a handful of young women spanning from the ages of 12 to early 30s, whose lives had been cut short simply because some man wanted to take control and wanted to determine what they did with their bodies and their lives. Do we care, St. Lucia, that none of these monsters have been caught and brought to justice? Do we care, St. Lucia, that as we speak, a minor, a juvenile, may be being raped right now? It could be your daughter. your niece, your cousin, your neighbor, your student, likewise mine. Do we care? Do we care that for 12 years, Eugene St. Romain has been living in limbo, not sure whether he's coming or going, not having the presence of mind whether he is indeed a free man, able to love the rest of his children and care for them and work as a productive member of society, or whether we should be worried that he indeed is a monster really and truly guilty of what he has been accused of. We don't know. And it's simply because the wheels of justice in this country turns way, way, way too slowly. Here's what Mary Frances had to say about matters of rape and murder as it relates to justice.
The whole question again is the system. Our constitutional rights are well guaranteed in the Constitution, a right to a fair trial within a reasonable time. What is a reasonable time? You should not be a victim of the system and the inadequacies and the flaws in the system. So if you cannot be tried in a reasonable time, the best thing is to just dismiss the case and let you be a free person.
Is that what we want, St. Lucia? That because we refuse to try alleged killers and rapists within a reasonable time, that by a formality or a loophole they should go free to perpetrate more crimes against innocent, unsuspecting victims? Is that what we want, St. Lucia? Why isn't there more of a hue and cry against our justice system? Why is it that our ministers, our justice ministers, our ministers for gender relations, why is it that we are not placing more of a burden on them? Why is it that we are not demanding of them to fix what is wrong with the system? And it's not a system that has just miraculously happened or occurred today, yesterday, or even last year. It's been around for a while. How many persons, how many cases, how many stories have we seen on Untold Stories of persons who are languishing on remand? Persons who should not have been in jail. How many times have we heard of cases of persons who are at large, and simply because we are afraid, sometimes rightfully so, we are afraid for our lives, for the lives of our children and our families, and what we will see, what we, our communities, our people, our fellow citizens will say about us. Should we come out and speak to the issues of rape? Why should I, as an individual, free thinking, why should I be afraid to come out and face the public if I have been raped? To say, I have been raped. Someone took my rights away from me. Why should I be afraid? Not of what this person may do to me, but what people will say. And this is the first step. The rape culture, St. Lucia, we have to change that. It has to be a thing of the past. And it starts with me. It starts with you and you and you. And not because we ourselves have been raped, as have been suggested by some unthinking, unfeeling, unconscionable people, and surprise, surprise, women, but because it is the right thing to do. Because I have suffered or you have suffered, or our children have suffered, or someone we know have suffered at the hands of somebody else that we know, or somebody high up in society, does that mean that we have to allow the vicious cycle to continue? Does that mean that we have to allow somebody else to fall prey? You know, when a woman is raped, it's not just her that is raped. She's in effect killed. The life that she knows prior to her being raped is no more. Her future is uncertain. The future that she once foresaw is no more. She, in effect, has died, and in her place is someone else. 3/4 of the time, some may dare say 99% of the time, that person is weaker and less of a living being because they cannot get over it. And why should they? Someone usurped their right over their bodies. So they end up being angry. They end up being unloved, wondering, why me? What did I do to deserve that? Again, the rape culture being perpetuated all over again. Because you, St. Lucia, you, our men and our women, have refused to give them the support that they need, instead calling them Jamet and saying it is their fault because of the length of their skirt and because they wore a crop top or because of the lipstick that they wore or the makeup that they wear, the heels that they wear. Is that right? Should we be judged by superficial things? Our clothing, our hairdos, our makeup, the friends that we keep? Aren't we more than that? Aren't we more substantial than that? Incidentally, today, St. Lucia, I do not have a guest. And the reason for this is because I couldn't get one. I couldn't get someone, any of the women who profess to be advocates and activists for women's rights to appear on the show and to talk about, to keep the memory of Valinda and Giselle and Valerie and Mary and Cheryl and the host of other young girls who have been murdered and raped and tossed aside like so much garbage. So, it's an open mic tonight, and I hope persons call lending support to what I'm saying or contributing in one way or another, their experiences, what they would like to see happen, like to see changed. After all, this is our dirtiest secret. Shh. Don't talk about it. Shh. Shh. Nobody needs to know. My child is not a rapist. My child doesn't do these things. My brother? Not my brother. Somebody else, not my brother. St. Lucia, si pani situa is pani vole. Some of us know very well that our family members, our friends, our neighbors are perpetrators of these dastardly acts. And if we keep their dirty secrets, we are just as guilty as they are. We have our first call for the evening. Thank you for calling Newsmaker Live.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
A very interesting discussion tonight. I also want to add to the list from the South, Donna John. It was someone from the Diamond area who was raped and murdered, having attended a social activity in that area. I also in terms of just the general violence against women, especially perpetuated by men, I would hope that we could include this in the discussion. Because whereas the rape and the murder in some cases stand out to be the final result, albeit the saddest final result that we are left to cope with and to pick up the pieces. And one can imagine how difficult it is for, the family, the loved ones, the friends and people in the general neighborhood would feel. But I also believe that if we place emphasis and denounce, the violence against women, in particular, violence against both men and women, but violence against women in particular. And you made mention of something that really, touched a nerve in terms of people in authority who believe that they have a right because they stand out to be perhaps in their minds more important than others, and that they could perpetuate these acts and that they could be supported by other persons. And I want to go in to raise a particular point, and I hope you would allow me to, not cast in aspersions. It is a fact, it was reported in the media and everything. There was a particular gentleman whose name I will not mention, but to mention that he was the treasurer of the United Workers' Party, who perpetuated an act of violence which caused this woman a livelihood, which caused her not to be able to move, not to be able to do anything. She was crippled as a result. She was at a hospital, and as reported, the then Minister of Health went to visit her, and his advice was to leave it alone. Further, the woman's medical reports were shared at a meeting of the United Workers' Party. That was wrong. That was wrong. I want us all to denounce whether United Workers' Party, LPM, Labour, whatever, when these things are wrong, for us to say that it is wrong. I know since you referred to all those like the Verlinda and people way back then, you would be familiar with, that incident. I would like very much to hear what is your position as a woman who is now saying to us that you care about women and violence against women. I want you to make a pronouncement on this issue, because it was reported, it was factual, it went through the courts, it went through the system. I really want you to comment on that issue for me tonight, to show me your true colors, to show me where you truly stand on issues of violence against women, not just the rape, but violence against women. I want to hear your position as an individual, not as somebody with a position in the United Workers' Party, but as a woman of substance.
Now, sir, yes. Tonight is not to be about politics.
It's not about
hold
politics.
on, sir. Hold on.
It's about an incident that was
I gave you free rein. I gave you free rein.
Just as all that you have mentioned.
I gave you free rein to say and air your views. And tonight is not about politics. So I'm very disheartened. I'm very disheartened that you would ask me that you would ask me.
We run away from politics. If a politician has committed an offense against women.
Thank you. It is very disheartening that this gentleman, he started so well, and I was in total agreement with everything that he said, except when he came out and said that he wanted my opinion, not as a woman who has a position in the United Workers' Party. I do not have a position in the United Workers' Party. I am a member of the Women in Action organization. And if you have heard me on any occasion or heard about anything that we are stands for, we stand for women, we stand to uplift women, and we denounce any act of violence, whether it be by a member of our own party, whether it be by a member of the St. Lucia Labour Party, whether it is by a minister, whether it is by a minister of the church, of the parliament, whether it is anybody, any act of violence against women, children, and men, including animals, any act of violence, I repeat, any act of violence against women, children, men, boys is wrong. I don't care who has perpetuated it. I don't care where you come from. I don't care who your father is, who your mother is, what stature, what status you have in life, whether you're a minister, whether you are a senior member of a political party. It is wrong. I will never support that. So, sir, please do not bring in politics into this. This is about the memory of the women who have lost their lives, including Donna John, whom you so rightly mentioned. I think you owe all of women, including myself, an apology for trying to tint this and bring politics and color into it. You notice how I'm dressed today? I'm dressed all in black because I hurt. I am in mourning for these women and children, 14, 12, 10 years old, who have lost their lives. I am wearing a red sash, which you probably can't see on TV, because it represents to me the lifeblood of these women and children whose lives have gone down the drain, who will never realize their full potential, whose family is still hurt. I have family members who have been raped. I have friends who have been raped. And I know what it's like, seeing them, knowing what they were like before and knowing what they are now today. I will never support any act of violence against any woman, man, or child. We have another call. Thank you for calling. This is Newsmaker Live.
Hello?
Yes?
Good night.
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Yes, good night.
Well, I have found myself in this situation. And up to this day, I have not forgotten. And this happened to me at the age of 13 years. I did fight my way out of this, but I just could not. When I got to my home, as a little girl, all I did, I went to the toilet, got some toilet paper, wiped myself, washed my panty, and shut my mouth. Because at that time, you were not allowed to say that you were raped. That was unheard of.
Even today.
Even today. Okay, I left and went to England. I never forget. It was always on my mind. I always spoke about it with my friends. And I got married, but I'm telling you, it was just married. I never enjoyed sex. Up to this day, I was crippled. I got divorced, had 2 children. While I was in England, I always vouched, when I return to St. Lucia, I am going to be the first woman to bring that man to court. Because I heard he was doing the same thing in St. Lucia. He was going on with it, and nobody bothered. I said, I am going to put a stop to it. While I was about to come, getting ready to come here, this man raped someone. I said, good. The case was going to be called at the same month I was going to arrive here. And what I heard of, he died. I said, oh no. Oh no, he got away. He died. But I was coming down here to show the people that this is not something you should be afraid to speak of. rape is not a nice thing for a woman. I'm telling you, you have it all in your mind, day and night. It's there. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your story. And this is what it's all about, St. Lucia, debunking the rape culture. You know, it's like you're afraid to have any kind of association because somebody, somewhere, decided to do something that's contrary to your own ethic. And because you share common likes in certain areas, we are all tainted. That has to be wrong, St. Lucia. It cannot be right. It cannot be right. There are women and children who suffer. I have sat on school benches with girls who were raped. I didn't know. They acted in weird ways. We didn't know. But it's only now, when they have come out to say, I have been raped, that we understand. We have another call. Thank you for calling Newsmaker Live.
Hi, good night. How are you?
Good night, I'm fine. Thank you. How are you?
I must admit you're spot on tonight.
Thank you.
It's sad that somebody had to bring politics into this, but you're spot on. I think collectively we need to get together, St. Lucians, the religious bodies, the politicians, everybody, and speak out against it. But most importantly, I think we need to look at the judiciary system. If it does not work, collectively again, let's repair it. One person cannot be held responsible all the time. What you hear is, oh, the DPP is not doing this. If she or he, whoever holds the office, and really let's not blame the person, but whoever the holder of that office is, if they cannot function, put a board together, put something to speed up, especially rape cases. When you drag this case on, like Belinda's case, I'm sure whether the man is guilty or not, he might be acquitted because evidence over a period of time, gets shelved, it gets lost. People lost their memories, go way off and they forget things. And people walk away from those kind of crimes. And it is really sad. So things like that, I really think we need to put politics aside. We need to put our, anything aside and just deal with it collectively. But most importantly, the intervention of God. We forget that all the time. All the time. People need to pray that those things don't happen. Pray that our men don't have this nasty urge to do things like that. No matter who you are in society. And the other thing I want to end with is when a man rapes a woman, this secrecy of keeping their faces secret and not exposing them is where it should stop altogether. We need to expose those men. Put their photographs everywhere, make sure that people know who they are, so it will never happen. Because I'm sure if we do it to a few men, they will stop. Because no man would want that to happen to him. Thank you very much.
Yes. And I agree with some of what the caller is saying, if not all of what the caller is saying. I just want us to be sure and to be careful that in our quest for justice, that we are not vigilante in it, and that we allow the course of justice to take place, and that allow for those persons to be found guilty before we vilify and castigate them. We have another call. Thank you for calling Newsmaker Live.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you? Hello?
Okay.
Yes.
This is Dr. Anthony Ferdinand, okay?
I didn't hear you, sorry, sir?
From the Christian Fellowship for All People in Cicero.
Uh-huh. Hello?
I'm listening to you, and I understand what you were saying. And I agree with you, there's not no politics into that. It's so sad our women are being brutalized and raped in St. Lucia. And a lot of that is going on, especially our children. And I myself is seeing that, and I'm sympathizing with the women. Women are getting raped in this country. And a lot of men are getting away with it. Women are being quiet. I'm on the street, even in my office in Grass Street, women come to me and they speak to me. Even some of our police officers, when I'm speaking to them, and sometimes the women is telling them, do not tell anything, do not say anything. They feel so embarrassed. And sometimes some of our police officers will go undercover to try to catch those perpetrators. And it's so sad. We in St. Lucia, some of us act like we're not praying. The country is just, I mean, to see our women are getting raped and brutalized in this country. Women are getting killed, just like I see with what you was wearing. And sister, it's true. I'm sick and tired of that. I mean, I have my wife there with me, and I was telling her that it's so sad. And those men are getting away with it. It's time to expose them.
It's more than just sad, though. It's outrageous. We have to find a sense of outrage within ourselves to stand up. Those of us, we all have our own talents. We all have our own skills, whatever God has blessed us with. And so we have to use that. Some of us can't speak out. Some of us don't have a voice. Some of us are good at organizing things. Let us pull our resources together and work towards eradicating this scourge, eradicating it completely.
Yes.
And instead, we malign and we divide.
Yes. You're right. Because we're not looking at color. We're not looking at who it is. It can be my own brother, own daddy. We have to say wrong is wrong.
Yes.
And sister, it goes for me too. Like I always tell my wife, I learn to humble. When I'm wrong, I say I'm wrong. But the work I see in this country, women are getting abused in this country, and that have to stop and expose those people. I don't care if they're high position. You rape your wife, it can be another woman, whatever it is, expose them. You're wrong.
I agree.
And they should be getting prosecuted to the fullest of the law.
Definitely.
And I believe in that.
But the law
Thank you very much for my contribution.
You're welcome, sir.
Yes.
But the law, St. Lucia, has to have teeth. It's not good enough that we have the law, but the law has to be enacted and it has to be kept. If a man, a woman, or someone, anyone, I don't care who you are, has been accused of rape, it is incumbent upon the authorities to investigate that case to the fullest to ensure that that allegation is founded and that that person is found guilty and that person had to be made to pay according to our laws. We have the laws. Let us enact it. Let us use the laws. Let us not allow another child, another woman, to be raped and murdered because the next person may just be your own child. We have another call online. Thank you for calling Newsmaker Live. We lost that call. Permit me to read an article that I came across while I was preparing for this show. And the title is called Victim or Jam It. We have another call. Thank you for calling Newsmaker Live.
Yes, good evening, Laura.
Good night.
Subject and good program tonight.
Thank
it's unfortunate that you do not have a guest here this evening. I would begin by saying that I would raise my hands tonight that this lady, Lauren Williams, started that fight, and the late Justice Madam Susie Duvey, who was another pioneer as far as that is concerned.
Definitely.
But having said this, Laura, tonight, I would say that I would denounce that kind of behavior against both sexes.
Definitely.
Yes.
And it's interesting that you brought that up tonight. We're going to be dealing with the women, but I intend to do a follow-up show on violence against men.
Because you see, the thing is that that I think because it has been a taboo subject, it has been a subject that we have not really, and let's not bury our head in the sun. We have monsters, we have sickos around. We do have them. But my take is that with that going on now, what we need to do is to open up the gender as regards to it cannot be right against women, but it cannot be right against men. And I believe what has happened is something, I'm not being repetitious tonight, but it's something that I find in our St. Lucian society, Laura, that instead of we being rational, we have become so emotional. And most times when pertinent subjects like these subjects comes on, you find people blowing up with the emotions. Because, I mean, for the last 20 or 25 years, from Valinda, from Hunt, and the list goes on and on and on. And who knows what those women could have been. You know. I am saying, in closing, at this point in time, I'm somewhat disappointed with some of our women who have been in the mainstream of politics. And I would say the mainstream of politics is being a parliamentarian.
Mm-hmm.
We have had free some time back, and I think we currently have free.
Mm-hmm.
I find it has been a little timid as far as that is concerned. And I believe that is the opportunity that our women parliamentarian at this point in time should bring up on the table. Good evening, my dear.
Thank you for your call. And he's quite right. We have women who refuse to deal with the issues of women in parliament. You are a woman. Deal with the issues that affect us. Not regurgitate and behave like the men. Be a woman. Speak to the issues. Advocate for change and legislature and whatever else that will help women, because we know we are a vital component of society. We contribute like none else. Please, we are begging you. We look up to you. We have elected you so that you can represent our issues. We have another call online. Thank you for calling Newsmaker Live.
Good night.
Good night.
I was one of a rape case from 1979, and I can never forget that rape case today. I think that time was afternoon shift and morning shift at Ave Maria School, and the buses were on strike, and I had to walk from Ave Maria School to go to Tiroshe classroom. And there's something they call high up marshal, they call Wavin 18. And that man followed me from town without I knew, and brought a knife to my neck and told me to not say anything or else he's going to cut my throat. And I was raped, and after he left me and he gone, and I went home to my mother, I was sort of speechless until my parents asked me what was wrong, and I was afraid. And I told them what was going on. They took me to see the doctor and everything. I got pregnant. And the doctor asked my mother whether to throw the child or to leave the child. My mother said, "Three go, so men put three pity, so then so she let me carry the child." They took it to the police. The man had a lawyer, and they threw away that case. And nothing has happened up to now. The boy is 36 years of age now.
These are the kinds of horrific things that we women have to go through. This has just touched my heart. This is just more than any other case. And St. Lucia, how could you not care? How could you not care that this is going on? We have another call. Thank you for calling Newsmaker Live.
Hello?
Hello?
Laura?
Yes?
That first call you had there was the most revealing of the evening. I mean, this guy was interested in how, in fact, he was not interested in violence against women, let alone rape. He was interested in putting you on the spot because he figured you had a particular political affiliation and wanted to see what you would say about this particular case that he mentioned, which was a horrific case, which got a lot of coverage in the press. The system let everybody down. The woman, the victim, was messed up by the Ministry of Health. There are a lot of things went wrong. And if you would have asked me now how this case ended, I don't even remember. It fizzled out. But it didn't fizzle out because of UWP. it fizzled out because there were a lot of people who enabled the attacker, and a lot of people who let down the victim. So this doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what party you belong to. And if you were to get into the matter of the politics, it doesn't take much imagination to realize that rape and battery in St. Lucia have been committed by some pretty high-profile people of all parties, and most of them have fallen. No real attention. The women back off. And rape has been committed to by a lot of non-entities with the same result.
But you see, we tend to focus on the non-entities a lot of the time, and because they don't have a name, and figure they must be monsters and others aren't.
I use the non-entities in inverted commas.
Yes, of course. It's likewise myself.
Yeah.
Likewise
inverted
myself.
Commas.
Yes, definitely.
So the point is, politics has nothing to do with it. On the other hand, I heard you talking about laws. We have the laws, Laura.
Yes.
We have the laws. There just is not an inclination to do anything about this most horrific crime. And the men in office and the victims are all to blame. I notice you're wearing black, and you claim you're wearing black for the dead. I think you should be wearing black for the walking dead, because those people sadly are gone. Mary Ratcliffe, they're all gone. But what about those who are just walking dead, like the lady who just called you there, who is a walking victim? And there are a lot of walking victims. And even as I speak, there are women listening there who don't want to have the courage to call you and give themselves some relief.
And not just any women, Rick. There are women in positions, women in positions to speak out, to show the face of rape, that you're not alone.
I hope you're saying this for your listeners, because I have spent a number of years spotlighting rape in this country. I want to tell you also, Laura, that when I first came here to stay, one of my periods anyway, I was actually castigated by the crisis center from putting rape on my front page. Okay? So that is how deep and ingrained the problem is. Even the crisis center at the time thought I was doing a disservice, although I didn't mention the victim, of course, putting a rape on my front page, which is why I think it belongs on the front page.
Exactly. It needs to be centered.
But I have to say something good is going on, because normally there are no calls on the issue of rape. You've had some very interesting calls, including the first knot. But you've had some very, very interesting confessional calls. I hope we'll hear more tonight. And that subject needs to be pounded over and over till people are fed up hearing it, and maybe we'll embarrass the courts, because the courts make it difficult for women. The easiest thing in the world is to beat a woman out of a court case when she has a serious charge. Thank you.
You're very welcome, and thank you for your input. But it's so true. This is where it belongs, and I hope I get a call from the crisis center so that they can have their day in my guest's chair to speak to the issues of rape and what they are doing. What are some of the services? Because I know there are services that they offer for rape and victims of violence. Let us hear it firsthand. The invitation is open. You're always welcome to sit across from me and for us to discuss this. We have another call online. Thank you for calling.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Can I please use Felinda Joseph, brutal murder, as an example? Let me tell you something. I think her stepfather was accused of that.
Hold on. I said before we continue, just be sure you don't discuss any of the
no.
Because the case is going on, and we don't want to discuss any of the details of this case.
I know
but it was her father. It was her father that has been accused.
Right.
Yeah.
This incident happened almost 13 years ago.
Yes, she would have been about 23 or 24 years old.
Right.
Today.
My point I'm trying to drive home, it just shows you how the justice system is a total failure. In a sense, to this point here, right? After about 3 or 4 years, you were discussing it on another program concerning the same case. And there were no kind of forensic evidence to prove nothing presently now because they couldn't go about doing one. So my point I'm trying to say now, what I want to still wait and see what will be the outcome of this case and what kind of forensic evidence they're going to provide to the court to suggest that he was the one who committed that grievous crime. Thank you.
And you're right. And if you had been following the show, you would have noticed that I played a clip of Mary Francis, and she was discussing just this. You take so very long to bring a case to light. What about the DNA, the evidence? What about the memories of the witnesses?
Right. If they couldn't got one done here, they could go elsewhere and make sure they get some level of forensic evidence, and they could catch the perpetrator immediately. That's all I have to say. But after 12 years, I want to see what forensic evidence they're going to provide in the court to ensure that they do the right thing and they don't put somebody up for life, and which we don't know who really did the act. Thank you.
It'll be very interesting to see the outcome of this case. Very, very interesting. And we have another call. Thank you for calling Newsmaker Live.
Hello.
Yes, good evening.
I was only 13 years when I got raped by a friend of my mother's. I used to go to school. Nobody knew until my grades started dropping. I explained everything to my teacher. And it took 4 years before I ever went to court with the guy. And up to now, he's still on the street watching me. After I told the police and they arrested him the first time, he threatened to kill me. His mother set people out to get rid of me so her son wouldn't go to jail. And now I have a son. My son is my blessing. He's my miracle. And I don't know what I would do without him.
St Lucia, these are the testimonies of women who have been through it. It doesn't have to be you or your child. If we know anybody has committed a crime such as this, please do the right thing. Do not hide them and protect them. These women need justice. We have another call online. Thank you for calling Newsmaker Live.
Hi, good morning. Good night. Sorry, Laura.
Sir.
I'm just so disturbed by
I can well understand
the calls that you have been receiving.
Yes, quite a number of confessions and testimonies.
Yes, but interesting program tonight. But the only disturbing thing before I continue with my contribution is the caption that St Lucia Dirties secret. I think in my own view as a St Lucian, this is not an appropriate caption for this type of program.
Why do you
in my own view, because the image of St Lucia Dirties secret, I think it's in my own view, it's not a good picture.
But you know, this is the problem. You know, it's the shh mentality. Don't talk about it. And that is why it is a dirty secret. And if we did the right thing, you and me, our communities, our neighborhoods, our nation, our elected members, our police officers, all of us, if we did the right thing, it wouldn't be a dirty secret. We would have been proud to say St. Lucia has one of the lowest rates of rape in the world. We would be proud to say we probably don't have any rapes occurring in our country. And this is why it is St. Lucia's dirtiest secret, because it embarrasses us and we try to cover it up. So I respect your opinion, but I have to respectfully disagree with it.
No problem. But as a man, Laura, I don't condone such actions. And if I have to start being the voice to start trumpeting outside there so that men will hear my voice, because I mean, I have sisters as well, and I wouldn't want to tune into the media one day and know that my sister is raped, and it's such words that I can't find to express at this present moment. To hear that the cases that you just mentioned before the show started has occurred in my sweet country, you know, the sweet country that I raised up in and born with in and cherish so much. To see the way that our country has developed, so it's just a sad times hearing all these testimonies coming on this program tonight. But as I said, I'm just praying that all men who's hearing my voice tonight, please, if you're thinking of committing such actions, please don't
be that man.
Because you are hurting somebody's child, you are hurting somebody's sister, you are hurting somebody's niece and somebody's family. Do not cause any pain to our young kids and our children and our mothers of tomorrow. Please, I beg of all men, please turn to God and turn to pray, as we have to pray for our sweet nation, St. Lucia. I thank you, Laura.
You're very welcome. And you know, St. Lucia, we have to stop our men from being that man. Men, you have to do whatever is necessary not to be that man. Not to be that man who has caused hurt to other fellow human beings. Now, we're going to take a call before we go to break. And at the break, I want you, St. Lucia, to pay very close attention to the clip that I will play, because it shows the face of rape. You will not believe it. We have a call. Thank you for calling Newsmaker Live.
Good night. Hello.
Good night, sir.
Yes, I would like to say something. I want to know, to be honest. I want to know, because I have a daughter with a girl right now, and we are not together. And what she does is that she lives with a boyfriend in house. And her past boyfriend said to me, not to me, well, to her, that he had sex with her in front of the child. And now she has a boyfriend, and I met her on Friday with a child, a man in front of my child, on his car. And her boyfriend is waiting for her at home. So I want to know what I should do, because I want to get my child out of that kind of situation. And it's hard for me, because I'm taking it hard right now.
That is an untenable situation, sir. I mean, nobody has to disrespect a child like that. I think social services, there's child protective services that could help you with this. Go to them, go to the courts, petition the courts. You want your child. The child is not in a safe environment. If what you say is true, and I say if because I have no way of proving that, so I have to go according to your word.
I understand.
But you need to petition the courts just the same way that women can petition the courts to deal with delinquent fathers.
Yeah.
Then the same should apply.
Let me tell you, what they did. The last time she took me to family court, she told them I was doing every single thing for my child. But she still took me there. So they asked her, why did she take me there? She couldn't answer. And then they gave me the child. But 2 days before my daughter's birthday, she took the child and she never brought her back.
But then you need to go back to the court, because if the court has already given you custody of that child as the main breadwinner, she cannot just take the child and not return the child.
Wow.
You know, that is not, and as I said earlier, injustice is injustice. I don't care who perpetrates it, whether it's man or woman. And you, sir, needs to go back to the court and petition for your child. If you fear for the safety of your child and the well-being of your child, you need to do whatever.
It honestly, it affects me right now, because what happens to me, every boyfriend she finds right now, I have a sour feeling towards them, because at the end of the day, I will think of what the first guy said. You understand? And I love my daughter. I love my daughter.
And you need to do what's in the best interest of your daughter.
So you feel I should fight for my daughter?
Of course you should.
Well, I will.
Of course you should. You should fight for your daughter. And we need more men like that, St. Lucia. We need more men who take an interest in their girl children, in all of their children, boy or girl, and to ensure that their children have a chance in life. Because the seed that you sow, they're like fertile ground. The seed that you sow today will determine the fruit that you reap tomorrow.
Yeah, because honestly, I love my daughter too much. I don't want to see what's going on in her mother's life happen to her. I don't want that at all.
So you need, yes. You're very welcome. And I hope you do something about it. Go to the courts and petition to have your child returned.
First thing in the morning, I will.
Very well. Thank you, sir.
That's obliged. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I said to you earlier, before we took this last call before the break, that I want to show you the face of rape Oftentimes we think it is just the voiceless person, the person who doesn't have baka, like we like to say in our local parlance, the child who doesn't have a mother, doesn't have a father, who came out of nowhere, who's poor. Not so St. Lucia. Let's take a look. Junior?
I said, please stop. I said, please don't hurt me. I said no. But I was raped anyway. I was lucky. I survived the rape, but mentally and emotionally, even after 24 years, sometimes it's still dark. Some of us were not so lucky. Their darkness is forever. Remember Valerie Lord, Donna John, Tricia Dennis, Giselle Georges, Valinda Joseph, and so many others? Please stop the violence now.